I would make a distinction between anti-corruption activities and real anti-corruption implementation. In terms of activities, that is a flurry of things that countries can do in the anti-corruption field. We are seeing it, we have seen it, continue to see it. An example is China's recent passage of for an anti-bribery bill. That's a significant activity. But that gets me to my second point. What about real implementation? Are we likely to see real implementation? And my sense, the example that I would point to would be Ukraine, where I was an anti-corruption monitor for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development on Ukraine's anti-corruption efforts. Lots of activities, but as we noted in our report, these activities, that is creation of new anti-corruption bodies and passage of new legislation, was not followed up by real implementation. And that's where I have some doubts, where in various parts of the world where you see lots of activity, you're going to see real implementation. I think regionally, Eastern Europe is an area that maybe does stand apart, where you can identify and think about it as a region, and there are several reasons for that. Bodies such as the OECD, the European Union, and also the U.S. government, which is definitely active in anti-corruption efforts in these Eastern European countries. These bodies will continue to push both activities in terms of passage of new legislation, which is currently being pushed, for example, by OECD and Ukraine, as well as real implementation. And there's a lot of U.S. government money going towards real implementation, has been going there for years. The European Union is actively putting money into real implementation. So that's an area outside of sort of our Western world where you can see more of a regional pattern of anti-corruption activities that hopefully will be successful. There are a variety of different techniques that they can use that in fact often are the same ones that governments like the United States are imposing upon corporations. That is, policies, or in the case of government, strict laws against it, bureaus within specific agencies or government-wide agencies devoted to investigating and punishing effectively acts of acceptance of bribes. Training is also a vital component of that. A final important piece of the puzzle is you have to pay your officials enough to decrease their incentive to accept bribes. And we see around the world a problem in terms of judicial corruption where judges just aren't paid enough. I'm thinking of one Eastern European country where the average judge makes less than half of the average traffic police officer. That's a recipe for corruption. In some of the countries I've worked in, there has been discussion that unfortunately has not gone very far off the ground of companies creating sort of collective bodies, business associations that are specifically devoted to the notion of resisting bribes, resisting extortion, resisting being shaken down. There are several pieces that need to be in place for that to occur. It can occur if there is enough will and enough attention.